Hey, yo, what's up? Welcome to my channel, BlackSwanRadio.com. I'm your host, Rondell L. Jordan, and this is your space for worldview conversation and flight music. This is where I encourage you to go above and beyond to explore this wonderful world, but also the wonderful word of the Most High God. And this is a artistic perspective, not a religious perspective. This is a scholar's approach, And, I often talk about the prophets and profiting because the two go to hand in hand. They're spelled together, right? But often people, they separate church and state. But no. Prophets are prosperous because the keys to the kingdom are in the scriptures. And so if you're a prophet, what this means is that you are delivering the message or the word of the Most High. You have been imbued or inspired, compelled to communicate a specific message to people. And when you deliver this message, right, this naturally attracts abundance, because with people, if you learn how to monetize that group of people, this is how you create cash flow. And people don't realize that this is biblical. This is, this is in the teachings of Matthew. You can flip to the parables of the talents, where it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country." You can just ponder on that. What do you mean the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country? Yeah, because prophets traveled overseas, which is synonymous with walking on water. You understand? Traveling overseas, walking on the water. In my last podcast, at the end of it, I introduced the concept that, this Bible is a traveler's guide. It's a traveler's guide. It's for men of faith. And it's a difference between a believer and the faithful. The faithfuls begin as believers, but most people get stuck in that phase of belief. They're made to believe, or they're led to believe. But we all know, as I say often, if I ask you a question, you say, "I believe so," you're leaving a margin for error, which means you don't really know. But the Bible says God knows. God knows that in the day you eat thereof, your eyes will be open and you will be like gods, knowing good and evil, balanced, self-sufficient, understanding, yes, the water at the water hole is nutritious, but also that there's predators along the way that you must know about and understand how to deal with. The vipers, the lions, the leopards, the hyenas, the vultures, the crocodiles. You see? But what people don't realize is that Adam was domesticated like the sheep. But Adam wasn't a newborn. He was able to name the animals. Matter of fact, Adam's name wasn't even mentioned until after he named the animals. And then as soon as he named the animals, his name is mentioned 6 times before the end of the chapter. And these is the type of poetic nuances that you have to be aware of And there are hidden in the scriptures that are words that are very powerful in revealing the truth. Genesis 2 is a roadmap, but the route, the streets were the river. This is the reason why it says, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 river heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one which encompasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and onyx stone are there. Now, when we break Havilah down in further detail and research, and this is what I do in my books, Havilah is in the table of the generations. He is the son of Cush, the offspring of Cush. The reason why he's mentioned first is because when you're coming down the Nile River, you're going to enter Havilah first before you get to the land of Cush. All right? And they're not going to use the word Egypt until after Abram enters the land, the Black Lands, in Genesis 12. So you have to really be really a student of the word to really pick up these things, because they don't teach this in any of the institutions out there. The word that was used to describe Egypt, the region or the northern area, first was Havilah, then they used Mizraim. Then they changed the name to Babel in Genesis 11. And then Genesis 12, the Greco word, Egypt, was used. Because Abram, who was a foreigner, pretty much fulfilled what is being spelled out right here in the introduction. He came from the land of Mesopotamia, and he entered the Black Lands through Canaan, but fleeing famine, because Canaan isn't a nutrient-rich region, he went down into Egypt, where Egypt, the nutrients in Egypt was along the Nile. So he had to follow the river. And this is where you find the gold. Right? It says the first is Pishon. The name of the first is Pishon, is the one which encompasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. Gold is mentioned twice as for confirmation. It's not a coincidence. And good is closely related to gold. Only difference is the G-O-O-D instead of the G-O-L-D. And it's also related to G-O-D. Okay? So it mentioned gold twice because it is supremely important. But then it's going to mention 2 other elements, which makes another trinity. Gold, bdellium, and the onyx stone are there. So you have to ask yourself, where can you find all 3 of these in one place? It's going to lead you to Ethiopia. And this is the reason why the next statement says, the name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one which encompasses the whole land of Cush. So first they arrive in Havilah, where they found gold. And the gold of the land is they found bdellium and onyx stone there. Now, in some Bibles, the word Ethiopia is used. But when the word Ethiopia is used, that disconnects you from Genesis 10:6, take the table of the generations, where the word Cush is used. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Punt, and Canaan. So that you can't put these 4 nations together as brothers. These are all nations of the Nile River Valley, what we're talking about right now. All right? So it says the second river encompasses the whole land of Cush. So these rivers are both encompassing these lands, which means that they're encompassing, meaning that you're going through these lands as you are passing through the river, which means that the writer is recording or making a map and reporting to a constituency about what he's discovering as he is on this journey in Genesis 2, entering the black lands. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. Hiddekel is spelled Hiddekel, which is also spelled very closely to the word hidden, Hiden, and also hide, Hidde, or Hide. All right. It is the one which goes toward the east of Assyria, which tells you that the writer had to know of the kingdom Assyria. 2, the kingdom of Syria is a second millennium kingdom, just like the kingdom of Cush. Assyria is connected to Mesopotamia, or not Mesopotamia, Babylonia, through the Euphrates River. And these two nations together are called Mesopotamia. Just like Central America is called Mesoamerica. So Mesopotamia, the middle river, right, is actually mentioned in the next sentence. It says the fourth river is the Euphrates. The fourth river is the Euphrates. So the other three rivers in this network is the Nile leading up to the Mediterranean River Sea, along those coastlines, entering into the Euphrates River, which connects Assyria and Babylonia, aka Mesoamerica. In the modern time, this is Syria and Iraq. Now, what I just did here was I'm showing you that this is a map, and it's being written by a foreigner who's entering the African lands. And even in the beginning, because there's a connection, this is the beginning, and I'm eventually going to go to the end. We're looking into first, right? The first chapters, the first book of Genesis, and then we're going to go to the last, which is Revelations, and then the last chapter of Revelations, the beginning and the end. All right, the Alpha and the Omega. The Alpha and Omega is just letting you know that the Greek language was used and interchanged in with the English, and much of it is to hide the African heritage, because this was fabricated during the time periods of the great transatlantic slave trade, where Africa, which we just got finished, they entered into Africa and they found gold there. Bdellium represents a rare resin. So, gold and minerals and spices, right? It's like almost like myrrh. And then onyx stone, gemstones, gems, coltan, and the minerals that Africa has, the commodities, the animals, the wealth and the riches, the land rights, the birthrights. And so the people that inhabit it are being spellbound, so that the people who inherit it can extract these resources and then take it back and empower those back home. This is what we see